Okay, this is now tarot lesson number 17, and I want to tell you something that you probably don't know, and it's not so you can do something with the information, not directly with it, but just to change your understanding of questioners and what they're like. So I need to draw a little bit here, and because the camera's up here, I can't do it, turn it that way, but hopefully it'll make sense. This is a horoscope, right? Where you've got 12 houses, and each house represents an area of life, and it tells you what you can logically and reasonably expect in different areas of life. So if you want to know about children, you look here to the 5th house. If you want to know about partners, you look to the 7th. But a lot, in a way, what's most important is the 1st house, which is the self, right? Because that's you, the native, the person asking the question. And we're all different. Even twins born 2 or 3 minutes apart are going to be slightly different. And this is because the rising sign, which is here, right? This bit. Let's say somebody's born and they've got 29 Scorpio rising. Okay? Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and this is a chart of somebody I know. It's not from me. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. This person has Mars in Libra in the 10th house, which means they want to be before the public in some way. But also, each sign has 30 degrees, right? 10, 20, and 30. In 3 10-degree portions called decanates. So Scorpio, like this, is Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. It doesn't matter if you can't read this. So, because this end part of Scorpio is the Cancer decanate, in order to know about this person, you need to look at Mars ruling Scorpio. You also need to look at the moon, because the moon rules the decanate. And this person has a moon in Pisces. So on the one hand, they want to be before the public, but at the same time, they want to stay home. And when they're in front of the public, they're Libran, they're sociable, friendly, optimistic, and so on. But at home, they're moody and touchy and insecure. The other thing is, if I go down here, each 10 degrees can be divided into 4 2.5-degree portions called duads, right? So we've got the Cancer duad here at 20 to 22.5 Scorpio, then Leo, then Virgo, then Libra. So if we want to know about this person, we're looking at Mars and Libra, Pisces, the moon in Pisces, and also Venus, which they happen to have over here in Gemini in the 7th house. So this person is not that they're all over the place, but they have interests in different areas of life, or the self is involved in different areas of life, with being before the public, with partnerships, and with being at home. Whereas, so that's 29 Scorpio rising. Somebody born in the same, let's say in the same hospital, but 5 minutes later is going to have, because this degree on the ascendant changes on average every 4 minutes throughout the day. And that's why we're all different. Because even people born within a few minutes of each other, the house cusps are going to change slightly, but some will change significantly, even in 4 minutes. So somebody born later who has 1 Sagittarius rising, right? So Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. This person is Jupiter in Sagittarius in the 1st house. So get Sagittarius rising ruled by Jupiter in the house of self. So that this person would be self-contained. But it's also the Sagittarius decanate, also ruled by Jupiter. So the sign and the decanate have got the same ruler in the 1st house. And also because it's only 1 degree, it's the Sagittarius duad. So this person is compressed or single-minded or self-contained. So if, and I chose some cards here so we could do this, if if you do a reading for somebody and you get the four of coins to begin with, and you say to the person, it's important for you to be focused, right, and concentrate on what it is that you're doing and know what it is that you want to do. This person is likely to say, you're right, I can understand the value of being focused, because I tend to be all over the place and I've got different interests. But maybe if I were to focus on one thing or be more focused, I would get more done. Whereas if you say this, if you're dealing with this person and you get the four of coins and you say to them, it's important for you to be focused, they're going to say something like, okay, obviously, but tell me something I don't know. Because they're built this way, and the horoscope shows how you're built, strengths and weaknesses. So because this person's Sagittarius rising and Jupiter in the first house in Sagittarius, yes, they're already focused. So you're telling them something useful and valuable isn't that useful or valuable because they already know this. So what do you do if you're doing a reading for somebody? This is why I like to get people to pick a number between 1 and 9. I picked the Hermit, so, and then a number between 0 and 22, and I picked out the Sun. So if it's a way of beginning with the questioner. You put them in a position of understanding more, or understanding something, or understanding something different about their current situation. Because the numbers come from the questioner. So it's you giving yourself information, and you're telling me two numbers, 9 and 19, and because I've got major trumps that go with those numbers, I can tell you a story or give you an idea of what kind of situation you're in at the moment. And that's the starting point for the reading. So you're 9 and 19, you're on your own. It's important to think things through and have a good idea about what it is you want to do. Then you will be able to have success. But if you ignore thinking and isolating yourself for a bit and just becoming clear about what you actually want, if you don't do that, then it'll be okay because it's the Sun, but it won't be as good as it would have been if you had taken time to figure things out. Then you think, okay, I want to know blah blah blah, and then you pick cards. And so if the person wants to know about the future and you get the Ace of Batons, you've already said think it through and then you'll have success. So the Ace of Batons is a positive indication that things are going to go well. Whereas with the Ace of Batons upside down, you might say you think you've thought things through, but you haven't really, because the Ace of Batons is upside down. So have an idea, but then leave it, and then think it through again a couple of days later, and you're more likely to discover weaknesses or defects or flaws that would mean that you get off to a good start. So I like to get people to pick two numbers. And the other thing, I took out the Fool because I say pick a number in 0 and 22. This is because the Fool is 0. But there are 22 major trumps, so in some ways the Fool is also 22. But there's a difference between 0 and 22. Because with 0, you haven't done it before, you're new, and it's brand new, and it's challenging maybe, and you don't know quite what you're doing. But with 22, if somebody picks 22, they're beginning again because it's the Fool, but they're beginning from knowledge and understanding. And I was thinking about this earlier today, and I thought, okay, if you've had a baby, a child, right? The first child you give birth to, you've no idea what you're doing, right? And that's the Fool, because you keep your fingers crossed it's going to work out, but you don't really know. Whereas if you have a second child, It's another new beginning. You've still got an infant, but at least this time you know what you're doing. And that can be the difference between the fool as 0 and the fool as 22. So, all this is to build up to the idea that before a reading, what do? Instead of assuming that you know what the person is like, maybe ask them for 2 numbers, or pick a card as the significator to represent the questioner. And maybe you say to them, okay, we need a starting point. We need a relevant and useful and correct beginning point for the reading, for you to know what kind of situation you're in at the moment, so we can judge what's coming up. Because if you're in a period that's expansive and things are going well, okay, that's one thing, and maybe it will continue. But maybe you're going to get a little bit lazy and think, well, I don't need to make an effort. So maybe you get them to pick 2 numbers, and then you talk about the numbers that they chose. But if you don't want to do that, you can always say to them, okay, we need a starting point. I'm going to pick 1 card, and maybe it's going to be obvious what the answer is, but maybe we need to discuss it and think it through. So you shuffle a bit, and then you pick a card, and you get the King of Swords, and that's your starting point. So maybe you talk about this king as being, it depends who the questioner is. Maybe you say, okay, if this represents you, then it's important for you to be solid and sure and decisive because you've got a sword in your hand. And if you can act that way, you've got a good chance of coming out on top, or being able to give good orders or good instructions, or being well respected by the people that you work with. Or it could be, again, it depends on what the question might be a woman who says something like, okay, that's good, and I like that, but there's this fellow I kind of like the look of. What can you tell me about him? And so you would talk about this same card as describing a potential marriage or a potential partner that the questioner is asking about, a romantic interest. And so you would talk about how he or she is, I can't think of anything, likes to give orders and likes to be in charge and is quite practical and down to earth and realistic, and I can't think of anything else to say at the moment. But that's the kind of thing you do. So what you do is you let's say we've got a questioner and we don't know who it is, we've never met them before, and so we say, okay, I'm going to pick a card and this represents you, and here we go. So it's important for us to discuss the King of Cups reversed. So this can be you, in which case you're kind of overly touchy and overly sensitive. Or if it describes somebody that you know, it can be somebody, because a king, maybe it's an elderly relative who is struggling at the moment because the king is upside down. And so you would talk, it's kind of hard to make this up because there's nobody here. Whereas if somebody were here and I would have thoughts and ideas and I would talk, and they would be able to give me feedback and a response to it. So sometimes you say, maybe the card that you turn over, it's obvious what the answer is or what kind of situation the questioner is in, but maybe we need to discuss it. And so by discussing the significator card with the questioner, maybe it's useful for the questioner because they realize that they thought they wanted to know about one thing, but actually they want to know about something else. And they wouldn't have thought of it if it hadn't been for you discussing the significator card. So there are advantages and good reasons for not beginning with you, the reader, and what you think, but getting some kind of input from the questioner, and having a way of maybe grounding or starting off with something specific or something that relates to the questioner that they chose. Okay, that was it for number 17. So thank you for watching. Today is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll see you on Thursday. So have a good day, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Okay, bye-bye.